Blessed love, brothers and sisters. It's not a Shabbat lesson per se, it's an impromptu video. And we'll title this The Wall. The wall is here, brothers and sisters. The wall is here. Alright? Isaiah 4:1. In Isaiah 4:1, 1611 King James. In that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach, brothers and sisters. You see, I keep telling you time and time again, these stiff-necked so-called black people, descendants of Hebrew slave, children of Yashrael. The scriptures are fulfilling worldwide. The scriptures are fulfilling worldwide. And this gender warfare you guys partaking in, and you weak, effeminate men, super-minded men who support this prostitution lifestyle by these shameless, ungodly women, you understand? These things are coming back to harm and to bite you and to expose you, brothers and sisters. You understand? Because why do you think we have a society and a nation today? Because men and women come together in the past and build a society, brothers and sisters, and build generation upon generation through union between man and woman. We need to come back together in oneness under the banner of the Mashiach. You understand? Females, you so-called women, change your wicked ways. You effeminate men, change your wicked ways. You don't see what's going on in the world? And the most are going to use this warfare, so-called, to further destroy many of you who are rebellious, especially rebellious women who will not listen to your so-called black men. And for you effeminate black men out there who support this prostitutional lifestyle and its simple-mindedness, right, and lack of masculinity that needed to govern your household, you see, will be destroyed also. You understand? Because days are coming, brothers and sisters. All that money and the material they associated with men is going to fade away. Soon and very soon, money is not going to mean nothing. And then what? Then what, brothers and sisters? All throughout history, you understand, is the man and the woman, the so-called black man and black woman. You understand? There was the issue of no money. There was no another issue, brothers and sisters. You see, everybody have their piece of land. You understand? Everybody grow their food, grow their livestock, and they live. And if they want to trade with their neighbor, they trade. They never have something that they want, and they never have something that you want. And you both trade and live. But you adapt this materialistic carnal mindset and take the Most High out of your relationship, and take Yahusha out of your relationship, and you place with the government and Ha-Shatan. Because Ha-Shatan represents the government represents Ha-Shatan. Because this world is handed over to the wicked. And as you can see in China, they have an issue with that problem as we face here in the Americas, brothers, if not worse. You know what I mean? So you think you run into a different country seeking these mates and whatever, they're facing the same issue too. Their women over there are their standards and the application towards men and what men need to have and what men need, what man needs to have and what they need in a man, instead of asking men what they want in a woman, or vice versa. You see, and because of those ridiculous and fairy tale demands, why China have the problem they have now, and it's going to come here to Americas. if you stiff-necked so-called black men and women don't change your ways. Change your ways, brothers and sisters. United we stand, divided we fall. Change your ways. Without further delay, brothers and sisters, watch this video. Blessed love.
There was a time when China had a one-child policy. It started in the late 1970s. The idea was to reduce the growth of Chinese population. The policy turned out to be a disaster. It left China with a population that's old and shrinking. In 2015, China relaxed its one-child policy. It allowed couples to have 2 kids. How generous. China's state-owned news agency Xinhua said the change of policy is intended to balance population development and address the challenge of an aging population. What China did not realize is that after decades of one-child policy, it was also left with a skewed population. In other words, a gender imbalance, the biggest in the world. Numbers worsened with high levels of female child mortality. China ended up with what was called missing females. Between 1980 and 2010, male children outnumbered female children by 36 million. Today, China has the world's most unbalanced sex ratio. For every 114 males, there are 100 females. Globally, the average sex ratio at birth is about 105 boys for every 100 girls. In China, there are 30 million more men, 30 million. These men are now having trouble finding wives, especially in rural areas. That's because men in rural areas are less educated and underemployed. So they end up as less desirable suitors. And this is interesting, listen to this. Men in rural areas of Shaanxi, Henan and Hunan are reportedly having to offer as much as $155,000 when asking for a woman's hand in marriage. That's dowry 2.0. Dark humor aside, in 2020, the Global Times published an article. It said the squeeze would become worse in 20 to 30 years. The problem is real. What is China planning to do about it? One NGO in China has proposed playing Cupid. It's called the Shaanxi Think Tank Development Association, and it says, leftover urban women, that's what it calls them, leftover urban women, should be paired with surplus rural men. Who are these so-called leftover women? Women above the age of 27 who are unmarried, highly educated and urban. If you fall in this category in China, you will be called Sheng Nu, or leftover women. China will also totally disregard your choice to remain unmarried or marry at a later age. This Chinese NGO now has marriage proposals for these women. It also has some advice. Do not feel afraid to go and live in rural areas, it says. The NGO also has proposals for the Chinese government. Number 1, offer incentives to encourage urban women to move to rural areas. And number 2, provide vocational training to Shengnan, or leftover men, surplus men as they're called, to make them better suitors. And I'm not making any of this up. And I know how atrocious all of this sounds. But China has seen worse, to be fair. Women have been trafficking from northern Myanmar into China. Women have been trafficked. Reports say these women were sold for anything between $3,000 to $13,000 to Chinese families. Once bought, these women were held as prisoners and pressured into producing babies. Another scandal came to light in 2019. Brides from Pakistan were being trafficked into China. The Associated Press claimed that at least 629 women were sold to Chinese men. They were abused, raped. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said it was unaware of any of it. It said the two governments, the ones of China and Pakistan, support the formation of happy families between their people on a voluntary basis in keeping with the laws and regulations. Disregard for consent can never be the answer to bridging the gender imbalance. So the question remains, what can China do about its skewed sex ratio? One article published in Human Rights Watch has proposed polyandry. It asks whether multiple husbands can solve China's gender imbalance. We leave that with China to decide. WION is now available in your country. Download the app.